Currently, recovery rate stands about 75%, and the cumulative recovery rate stands 10,907 cases. So, if you look at that, Ashanti has recorded about 66% of all their cases has recovered. Bono has 33% recovery because they didn't start getting cases, got a few recent cases. Bono is 48%. Central region has about 83% of all their cases have recovered and discharged. Eastern region 56%. Greater Accra 77%. That is accounting for the last number. Northern region, all their cases have recovered 100%. Northeast is 67%, because they just had a recent one. OT about 30%. Savannah 100%. Upper East 8%, because they are still waiting for the last few. But I'm sure within the next few days, those asymptomatic will be discharged. Because if they do not develop any condition. Upper West 100%, all cases always have recovered and discharged. Utah 89%, Western 96%, Western of 79%, and so we have a total average of 75% recovery out of the 14,000 plus cases that we have now. For the age and sex distribution of COVID-related deaths, that's of the 95, you can see that the majority are males, the majority are over 60. We have a few less than 15, about 3% or so under 15, and then between 15 and 24, under 5%, 4%, and for the females, just about 2% or so. But a significant number are above, from 40 to above 60. So that's what the stands. So the age and sex range has really not changed much. It has always been broadly more males and then more elderly, and that is also because you have the comorbidity and the communicable disease that starts in the late 40s for most people. So, Honorable Minister, this is our brief presentation. I'll let Dr. Komi and Dr. Sakwede give further details on the recovery to provide further clarification. What I would like to say to all is that please, those who are recovered and discharged are free and they are not able to transmit the virus to anybody. So people should receive them and be sure that they are out there and not create any stigma for them. They are free. We isolate people because they can transmit to somebody else. We only release people who are unable to transmit the virus to another person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji. So we just want to go a bit further to deal with, for example, the de-isolation policy antecedents and how it is playing out in Ghana. I want Dr. Komi first. He's with the case management team. Case management team are the persons who are actually managing positive cases. So Dr. Komi, please join us with your remark, and then I would invite Dr. Bedisa Akodie to conclude this part of the presentation, and then we'll make the final comments.
Thank you very much. I guess about last week, we came up with a new directive as to how we discharge our patients from the various isolation centers. I'm sure people saw the term de-isolate. De-isolate means that you are removing the restrictions that you put around somebody whom you say is infective or can infect other people. So when we say de-isolate, then we are sure that you will not be able to infect other people. We take you out of isolation. Most of the people we had initially, to de-isolate them, we had to do 2 PCR tests. to say that they should be isolated. The world has been talking a lot about, or it's been very dynamic. The disease has been very dynamic. Initially, everywhere across the world, everybody said you needed 2 consecutive negative tests to say that the person could be de-isolated. Along the line, people went to 1 negative test to say people could be de-isolated. And then the world went to clinical recovery instead of laboratory recovery to say that people could be de-isolated. The disease is so dynamic. In this country, we've also looked at what we've been seeing. We had the opportunity of having people from mandatory quarantine. So we saw when they tested positive and when they recovered. On the average, it was 14 days from positive to having double negative. On the average, it was 14 days. So when we also looked at the evidence from Singapore, looked at the evidence from China, the Germans have been very quiet, but they've been doing a lot of work. To say that the virus is not infectious, you must culture the virus. We haven't been able to culture here. A lot of people haven't been able to culture. The Chinese have done it. The Germans have done it. The Canadians have done it. The Singapore people have also done it. And if you look at all the data, they all say after day 8 of infectivity, whatever you have, the viruses they tried to culture, they couldn't culture them. It's also said that most people can remain PCR positive after you have told them that they are negative. I stand here to say that I have seen people in Ghana testing positive up to day 40. But these people are still at home, still doing what they have to do. We looked at families where they've had people from mandatory quarantine who were still positive up to day 40, and none of their family members have tested positive. So there are times when we take certain decisions, we take it from the scientific point of view. We know that we are from case management. WHO guideline looked at 10, average 10 days, but we didn't look at 10 days. We looked at what we have seen from our patients, and we're looking at an average of 14 days. That's when people went double negative. So yes, seeing a lot of de-isolation. Once the person tests positive, asymptomatic, after 14 days, we are confident this person should go home and this person will not infect another person. Most of our patients after 14 days come back for a review 1 week for us to see whether there is any problem. Remember, we have said recovery. Recovery is you are sick and you have recovered from the illness. You are not depending on clinical recovery as against laboratory recovery. Laboratory recovery, we have seen that PCRs can persist up to 80 days. And doesn't mean that the person is still infectious. COVID has taught us that things are dynamic. Nobody knows about the illness. We are also learning about the illness. These are my comments on this.
Dr. Oliver Ajete Komi. Thank you for your remarks. I think he's essentially put the matter to rest, so I won't bother you by coming to you, Dr. Sarkodie. I'll make some very quick remarks on EI 164, and then we will just proceed to take your questions from here. Colleagues, the objective of EI 164 is to compel all persons within public places and who are in contact with others to wear a face covering, like what I'm wearing this morning. This is necessary to curb the rate at which a positive person who has the ability to infect others, as we're being educated, can spread the virus. That's the objective of the lawmaker. Now, generally what we expect is compliance from the public for the greater public good. Because you may not know, if you haven't been tested and proven positive within a particular window, you may not even know that you are a positive person who can infect other persons. And so the objective is that as the majority or as the entire public going out into public places wears a face covering, you'll be able to curb the rate at which, if somebody is positive and is infectious, can be passing it on to others. Now we acknowledge a key area in the law which has got to do with individuals who are in their private cars by themselves. And we also acknowledge that there's a very strict interpretation that the police intend to give to such scenarios, looking at the text of the law. The lawyers will tell you that there are those who do what they call the literalist interpretation, and then there are those who also do purposive interpretation. Today the courts even use what they call the modern purposive approach. So what government is doing is engaging with the police to give the EI a purposive interpretation when they're applying it. And as I mentioned, the purpose or the objective is to compel all persons within public places and in contact with others to wear face covering so that we can curb the rate of transmission. And so engagements have started with the police so that they can give it a more purposeful approach. Those will be our remarks on this particular matter. I'll quickly take that in tree and then we'll now take generally your questions. Abaya Semra EI 164. Neni so ade hu ni say ye pese bibiara oko nipem ofifi akonipem ebe hye bibi dia kata na no ne hwene de friend no face covering and mask to say de ma share pay adentia isa nimdie ne kire abode mu nyasape nimdie ne kire yen say obi a oye positive and say mo wa na etiase ne bi woni mu na obi mi ede ama obi foforo no so o hye mask yi bia se bi nka na no ntese na nka bibi e be fi nanum abama obi enya bi no ontumi mfa nipa kro no eno nti na ya hye samra no se obi a ehye ne de ye bo enyina ye ho ban me gina ha me sei ense da anya me de obi a ni ho a mask no sha ye ne de but e wo se ye hye ne ye de enyina ye ho ban eno ne ani so ade ho a ye de ahye mra no ye gitum se fiti abra mra no ba ye no be about who said, now say me, I met me private car, mu obi anka me ho say. Mranimfo no, almost a mrawu chirimu, ye wan ho do aye chiremrem. Ye will be o kind no, send ya mran ya chro no, pepepe. No se say na mran ka, nti sa na me de ye adwuma. From friend literalist approach no. Any ye wo also ka say, mran no dia ehwehwe se ye ni. Nti o de no toto ho, no de aye adwuma. Passive approach. The abaya ne say any police for in kita ho so momfa emrana ni suade hu no enye dwuma enti se obi say ono nko an ote ne car mu enti obi amen na bibia so mo de emrana ni suade hu ye dwuma o kwan o betumi afa so ene no edi na nkwanko ye say once amrana say upie fifia o say mask na say bi ono nko an te ne car mu a adai na won mask police for no so kire mu say won kwa to ka mu say de bia no du ba bia say be obesi form e bia obeko nipem nti na omo so omo hwe ne sa na but na make no ye no omo di nkita ho mo de mbra na ni so ade hu no ayejuma. Can I ask for the microphone to be mounted so that if there are questions we take them right away? We don't intend to too much of your time this morning. And I'll be pleased if you go straight to the questions, hit the button straight so that we can get you access. It's a question and answer segment. You know, sometimes we are tempted to give our opinions, etc., but it's a question and answer segment. So you ask the question, get the professionals to answer. Are there any takers? Is that Sarah? Okay, step forward. Yes, sir. So I'll take first 4, face out, and then we'll take the questions. Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. No, morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
My question has to do with the imposition of punishment or fine on those who refuse to wear the face mask.
Yeah.
The argument out there is that I think the prison term for some people is very harsh and very punitive, and then the fine too is very high.
Okay.
Because people are saying that that's what they not want. They say merely not wearing face mask, if attract 10 years in prison, it's a bit on the higher side. So I don't know if there can be some kind of a review of the whole punitive measure, because I feel that it is too harsh.
Okay.
And then, Dr. Kuma, if you are having about 75 recovery rate, does it mean that Ghana is safe? Can we go and sleep? Because previously that wasn't the case, but now we are getting a bigger or better recovery rate. Can we say that Ghana is a safe zone now? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Colleagues, let me also draw your attention to the fact that the actual risk is when you are actually talking, you know, when you're talking and you take off the mask, you've defeated the purpose of wearing the mask. So we're also learning. You keep it on when you're speaking. Sarah, come.
My name is Sarah Paku. Today, in giving your explanation to the police enforcing people the wearing of masks in public, I believe here, like you said, people are agitating the fact that they are in their private cars and they are being compelled to wear masks. Can you define to us what is public? And I want to know, how was the engagement before the police started enforcement? Because I believe they should know that people in their private cars or with a family, obviously they leave home alone without a face mask. So how was the definition given to them before they started enforcement, since they are now being engaged to give the purposive invitation to this whole enforcement? And I also want to find out from the Ghana Health Service, how far with arrangements to improve upon the infrastructure or the facilities at Kumasi. The last time we spoke about them being overwhelmed with the case count. Thank you.
To provide more facilities in the Ashanti region.
He said he was going to increase the capacity to house the people.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Let me begin from where
I saw you not wearing your mask. You were coming.
Yeah,
I want to report you to the police. Go ahead, let's hear you.
I want to begin from where she ended. We went to Kolibo. We saw that a facility that is being built to help manage COVID-19 cases has been abandoned. We want to know the status of that project, and also with the new discharge protocols. Will the Ghana Health Service separate recovered from discharge figures on their website? I just want to find out. Thank you.
Do you intend to distinguish between discharged and recovered patients? Do you have any such intention? Yes, sir. Final question.
Honorable, good morning. The question is, if a new year, you say depot like enforcement no I best start like the exactly time I best start and if I will be say police for the lockdown not police for no kuma more enforce you be the lockdown so no the police for so say more say you be the year in so na and I'm second question for punishments I what this year in so no lockdown, you will say amnesty to some prisoners, saying your mom will fee. To me question here, are they now buying consider say maybe a probably public maybe a punishment via now say punishment be mama for instead of
non-custodial sentence.
Yes, say be move them. And my last question so the concerns about MPP for Prime Minister somewhere over the weekend now. So Monka said they will only observe social distance and protocols be. But concerns be say look at election course now. Some of these protocols when this so the government response on these issues also.
Okay. I mean and dealing with ODN first and then the other government related questions. Then I invite my colleagues to deal with the rest. There's a view by some that the punishment or the prescriptions for punishment under 164 are a bit harsh and that non-custodial sentences should be used instead. Colleagues, one of the reasons for prescribed particular sanctions in various pieces of legislation is so that it becomes a deterrent to other people. becomes a deterrent to other people. And the view is to make the potential sanction quite severe. And as we therefore educate people, the mere fact that they know that this is potential sanction ahead will happen the compulsion aspect of it. Sometimes if the sanctions are not deterring enough, you will not get the level of compulsion that you are looking for. So part of the sanctioning framework or the philosophy behind sanctioning or punishment in law is for deterrent purposes. We are better served if we comply. We are better served if we comply. Sarah asked a question about public place. Public, I think, is already defined in some of our other laws. I think the Criminal Offences Act already defines public place, and so it's the same definition that was being applied. What is coming up is that there's the second part of the EI, which is, I think, 1B, leaving or returning to his or her place of abode. That is what is being, in my understanding, interpreted to mean, well, then whether you are in your private vehicle or not, once you are leaving or returning from your abode, that part also affects you. But that is why we're saying that we're engaging with the police, give it a more purposive interpretation, even as they seek to apply it. But as I mentioned, we're all better served complying with it. The EI is already in force. It is already being gazetted, so it is in force already. So it's not now going to come in force. It is in force already. And as the President mentioned, from time to time, the police will conduct some random checks to ensure that there's compliance. We encourage the general public to comply. It is in our collective interest. We should be each our brother's keeper at this point in time. The executive instrument also does not distinguish between gender, religious background, age, or political affiliation. So if we are here, there's reason to believe that some persons are not complying with it. The persons who are seized with enforcing it, as the police, are expected to act accordingly. If in a church service or in some other engagement it occurs, again, the police are expected to act upon it. So it will not matter whether it is a political activity or it's not. This morning I've seen videos, I think from the Volta region. There's a political candidate on an activity in the Volta region, and in the video you see persons who are not in masks as well. It ought not to be about political or gender or age or geographic location. It's got to be what the law says. And so those who are seized without to act are asked to act accordingly. So let me invite the doctors to deal with, does 75% recovery rate mean we can go to bed and forget all these cautions? Have we moved to provide extra facilities at Marseille? Is it true that the Kolebu facility that was being put up was abandoned? And do you intend to distinguish between recovered and discharged? After this, I'll take a final batch of questions and then we'll wrap up.
Thank you very much. I'll start with do you intend to separate? No, we do not intend to separate discharge and recovery. As Dr. Kwame mentioned, we are having a clinical recovery. So maybe the word discharge is what is causing confusion. It's a clinical recovery. If you have malaria and you are treated and you are fine, we can decide to do a test. We can also discharge you because you are symptom-free. And the explanation also shows that you are not going to be infectious, and we are that those people having discharge are not going to be sick again. It's not for the next few, the duration. We are still studying the duration of the protection you get. Currently, we don't have any reinfection, so our purpose of the website and the dashboard review is to identify the number of cases that have been seen, those who have recovered, and the active cases are people that is of concern as far as clinical management and isolation is concerned, and so we do not tend to look at that. In the follow-up, we may follow some of them up to check their clinical, viral recovery if you so, but that's really not going to separate them. They have all recovered, and for the purpose of work and social function, they are part of the society, and that's why we want to leave it. The Kolebu building has not been abandoned, it's going on. As you know, so the response to this is about building our strength. From the beginning was to build our capacity for the next any pandemic or any infectious disease that is happening. So everything that is being done properly in a more sustainable way. So nobody has abandoned the Kolebu one. It's done, and I believe that they actually started to fill it up. I have just returned from Kumasi last night to follow up on that. Currently, we are expanding by about 100 beds. We are expanding about 14 beds in Kumasi South, and by this weekend it will be free. I've just gone there to inspect to see what needs to be done. We are giving them additional prefab buildings so that staff will have a place to sleep and rest while they work, and that prefab is going there today. By tomorrow it should be there. I've also been to the Tuase to look at a 70-bed facility donated by Professor Frimpong Boateng. I've been there. The place has been cleared. All we are doing is ensuring that the catering services I managed to do there. We'll put in additional staff that is needed, and we are hoping that in a week that place too will be ready. So we are adding at least 100 beds, 17 at Kumasi Suntreso, expanding the number of beds in Kumasi South, and then this 70 plus beds in there to add. So we are hoping that within the next 1 week or so, this expansion will take place, and then the cases will be there. With the discharge criteria, a number of people who are waiting have been discharged, and so we're not experiencing that acute congestion that we had a week or so ago. Is Ghana safe? I say Ghana can be made safer. And I'll say that if you look at the number of deaths, we are talking about recovery 75%. If you look at the percentage of deaths, what it means is that 99% of everybody who fought this disease, looking at this current trend, will recover one way or the other, whether you were sick or you were not sick, because the percentage is still less than 1%. Now, but this is a very disruptive disease, and so the effect on society, the effect on the community because of isolation, etc., is such that it is something we can all work well to reduce. And so if you abide by the 3 protocols that has been given, the rate of infection will reduce, the rate of people who will die will reduce, and also the rate of disruption of care and services, both health and everything, will be reduced. So yes, by following those protocols, we can make Ghana safer. That's what I would say. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, is there a final batch of questions, or do we leave it here? 1, 2, 3. So we'll take the final batch of 3 and we'll leave it here.
Honorable.
Yes, sir.
Can you
kindly introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is John Awuni, President Kesben.
Hi, John.
Yes, I just need some clarification about the section of the law that talks about leaving and returning to one's place of abode. How does the police determine that, and that portion be made inoperative? Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable, good morning.
Morning.
FM JC Makra FM.
Hi, JC.
Pacho, my question is, I just joined now my BFC. I say GHS for us or Mubafi Beshaw, maybe Muko reviewer, and I say, I saw Mom hospital, now I'm going review.
Monomba hospital for review, yeah. Omaba Hospital for review. Oh. Just like any normal patient, or Omaba Hospital for you. Right. Yes,
Thank you. My name is Atamin Sangoro from Ghana.
Hi.
I want to find whether our service has started using rapid diagnostic test for.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I want to comment on the demolition of uncompleted building at the Nigerian High Commission. No, though I've heard the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has issued a statement, but I want update on this issue.
Okay. My understanding was that they are commencing an investigation into it. And we follow that one. That they are commencing an investigation into it. Because contrary to what was initial belief that this was a government action, and the speculation even by some key media persons essentially taking on government that why didn't government apply diplomatic measures, etc. It is turning out that I think the USUS too is claiming responsibility for the action, but it is an action that affects a diplomatic may I say, property. And so the state is interested because under the Vienna Convention of things, we have a responsibility to ensure that such acts are addressed in a proper legal manner. And so as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs mentioned, first of all, Ghana as a country, I think, has apologized to the Nigerian government that this has happened in the first place. But as a state is proceeding to conduct a proper investigation to understand the circumstances. But this is not state action, as we are beginning to find out. And I think it's important that we all hasten slowly when things break on the internet or on social media. We all hasten slowly before we jump to conclusions. Yes, sir.
Dr. Kumar, one more question. Some people feel allergic to the wearing of the face mask. For instance, when I wear for 1 or 2 hours, I get palpitation and headache. And such people, what must they do? Because it is estimated that I wear for 12 hours. But some of us who are a little bit aged, it's a bit of a problem. So what must we do? A case in point is myself.
What the guidelines say about persons who say they are uncomfortable or have reactions when they wear masks. Okay.
There was a news report this morning that government is discharge of PPEs to schools and other places. Some schools have gotten this, others haven't gotten this. What is happening? Thank you.
The distribution is ongoing. That is what is happening. The distribution is ongoing. It is our expectation that as quickly as possible they'll complete the distribution of all these PPEs to the various schools across the country. Let me deal with the first question, and then I invite Dr. Abwaji to deal with the IDT question. I think the first question is captured, or the response to it is captured in my initial remarks, that the intention of the lawmaker is that when you are not in your private home, when you are stepping out of your private home, which is going to or coming back from a private home, the assumption is that you will be in contact with other persons. And once you are in non-private space, which means in this public space, the idea is to ensure that you are wearing a face covering for the protective purposes that I've mentioned. What is happening is this gray area about how about if I'm leaving my home but I'm in my private vehicle to a particular place, and that's what we have said that we're engaging the police to give it a more purposive interpretation so that do not unduly overburden citizens who are not breaching the object of the law. Okay, colleagues, I think we'll leave it here this morning. We're very grateful. On Thursday morning, we'll engage with you with the latest updates. Thank you. Oh, sorry, the RDT. Please take that and then we'll consider that as a wrap.
Thank you very much. Currently, we continue to send RDTs. Officially, we are not using any RDTs yet, but I'm sure as soon as FDA finds there a suitable one, it will be applied. But currently, we do not have. But I know there are lots of RDTs that are being tested. On mask, we all have types of allergies that we have. There are people who wear them, some and they probably sneeze or anything. You just have to probably change the material and make sure that you are wearing the one that works for you. This is why we are using the grey baft, which is a bit more neutral, and the amount of flour percent is quite reduced. If you do the government one, that's a grey baft, and so reaction is a bit less. But if you have such a big problem, and because there's a law, you also know that if you know you can wear it for 2 hours, then make sure that you plan your outing for 2 hours whilst we find the most appropriate one that works for you. People have ones that they react to, but others they don't react to. I think it's up to you to find the most appropriate material that works for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abuaji. So, colleagues, as we wrap up, let me just put out a couple of announcements. One, tomorrow at 1 p.m., we are resuming Meet the Press series, where various ministers come and give an update of what is happening in their sector. You recall that we suspended it when we went on lockdown, etc., etc. So tomorrow at 1 p.m., Minister responsible for Works and Housing, the Honorable Atachia, will join us as we resume the Meet the Press series. But ahead of that, at 10 a.m., the Minister for Tourism will lead the launch of the Tourism Enterprise Support Program. Remember, there's some stimulus or financial support that is being given to the hospitality sector, especially in these difficult times. Herself and her team will join us here at 10 for that launch, and then at 1, the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing will join us for the resumption of the Meet the Press series. Thank you very much for your support and your time. As the President mentioned on Sunday, please let us not relent on the public education on COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Hello again, I'm Ernest Mini. Let's settle for the details now. And government says the resolution of the nighttime raid of the staff quarters of the Nigerian High Commission will be expeditious. The 12-bedroom facility was bulldozed by unknown men Friday night. This sparked some protests among some Nigerians here in Ghana, with the Nigerian government condemning the act. A high-powered delegation led by the Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botwe Monday visited the scene of the destruction to get first-hand information on this incident. But speaking to JoyNews, Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Charles Oredu said the matter will be resolved by Wednesday.
Yes, the police, also was represented, and they said that they've made some headways. They've spoken to some people, they're interrogating some people based on the information that they got from those who were at the property. Remember, this operation took place at dawn, but then at the facility there were some guys there, so they are helping with investigation. Let me say that the meeting was very, very productive. We took custody of all the documents, and the Lands Commission is also helping us. So this matter will not go beyond 48 hours, trust me, because it's a straightforward matter. And hopefully by tomorrow we should, know what really transpired and those who were involved, whether the property belonged to Mr. A, Mr. B, and all that. So we shouldn't think that this is a project or this is an operation that the government sponsored. No, that's not it.
So that's the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Charles Oredu speaking with me on Top Story yesterday. We'll be taking you shortly to the Nigerian High Commission, where we understand a news conference will be underway by the Commission on this very issue. They will be raising some concerns. The acting High Commissioner to Ghana will be speaking and addressing that news conference. JoyNews editor Fred Smith is there. He'll be joining us shortly to bring us some more information on what we should expect if the news conference is not already underway. And as you can imagine, this has generated a lot of controversy, especially in Nigeria. As our partners, Channels TV in Nigeria, reports, the media is awash with a lot of stories on this, with Nigerians calling on the government to take stiffer punishment or actions against Ghana. But as we heard from the international relations analyst yesterday, Vladimir Chidan, so this should not escalate if it is managed properly, especially when government has come out clear to say that this is not an action backed by government, and for that matter, government did not even know about this action. We have heard from the Osu Traditional Council taking responsibility for this. We also understand that the stakeholders have met, and the Lands Commission has begun some work on documentation as far as that land is concerned. We will bring you some more detail on this issue because, as the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister did say, it's about the land. That is what is in contention. And once the Lands Commission is able to determine the ownership of the land, it then will be easy for government to quickly resolve the issue. And so hopefully by tomorrow, this should be addressed. So we'll come back to this. We'll go to the High Commission for that news conference. But let's talk education now. Some senior high schools in the Ashanti region have decongested their classrooms and dormitories as final year and gold track students return. Authorities have also taken delivery of all materials needed to ensure adherence to COVID-19 safety protocols. Now, Jima has been speaking to school authorities and filed the following report.
Some teachers positioned themselves at the entrance of Opokuari School to take temperature of visitors and students. On all walls and in all corners are visible notices on hand washing, wearing of masks and sanitizers. Veronica buckets provided by government are dotted around school premises to encourage people to wash their hands. Dormitories, previously accommodating 40 students, will take a maximum 20. Here is Headmaster Reverend Father Stephen Osusetre.
We have distanced the desks in our classrooms. We have big classrooms and smaller classrooms. The bigger ones will not go beyond 30. We put 30 students in the classroom. The smaller ones, you have 25. So you have your name, your number, and your name on your desk. That's where you will sit for classes, and that's where you will sit for prep. We are working closely with South Mtoso Government Hospital.
Students at the school at the time of our visit were being handed hand sanitizers and face masks. They then went round to locate their names at new dormitories they have been placed.
We thought the virus was still out there and it was quite unsafe, but arriving in school we realized that even if the virus is still around, we can have our way around it because there are so many safety precautions out there, and if we are to adhere to all of them, we believe that we will be safe.
The social distancing and other protocols won't be easy though, but that's what you have to do to survive, and that's what we are going to do.
At Sakafia Senior High School in the Askoremampo municipality, only a handful of students had reported when we arrived. Headmaster Mohammed Shahid explains management is working with Municipal Assembly to ensure all requirements are met.
Our major challenge has to do with beds and mattresses. God being so good, I think 3 days ago, I called the Deputy Minister of Education. I think quickly, together with the MCE, they collaborated, and then beds have been provided. We have enough beds to occupy the students.
The situation is same at Kumasi Academy and Kumasi Secondary Technical School. Kumasi City Mayor Osei SB Entry went round to acquaint himself with developments in various schools.
When the children were at home, in fact, the use of the mask was nothing new, because even at their various homes, they were using the mask. Moving out, it was compulsory that before you go out, you have to wear the mask. And you know, senior high school children are of age, and they will not always be limited by sitting in the various homes. So all the children that we've interacted with, all what they said is that it's just continuation of the COVID protocols here.
Meanwhile, some past students of Opokuari School have assisted the school with sanitary items. Emmanuel Boachi Yadom leads an initiative dubbed Support Your Alma Mater campaign.
As part of our social responsibility to complement the efforts of the government, I think we came together with the idea of helping our various old students, old schools. That is our alma mater, which the JHS and SHS fall in place. Today we're able to gather some Veronica bucket, tissues, liquid soaps, face mask, and then the thermometer guns. So we made the presentation today, and I think it will go a long way to help combat the situation.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Now on the AM show today, the president of NAGRAT, Angel Kabonu, Education Inspector Anti, and the head of the psychiatry unit at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital, Dr. Rose Osuentri, spoke on how these students can be made to feel at home.
What the medical persons gave us was a blanket no, indicating to us that the numbers were growing. In fact, that we had been able to ask students to go to school. So that was what we communicated to government at that time. That, look, the medical people are telling us that the dynamics have not changed, and they are still having problems in identifying the nature and behavior of this disease. Our numbers seems to be going up. So you recall that our first statement that came indicated that the grounds were not fertile for students to return to school. What informed that was our contact with some medical persons and the advice they gave us. Let me state clearly that we are not professional health workers. So we will not be able to give that specific counseling that pertain to the health of the student with regards to COVID-19. By our training as professionals,
this has been a very difficult decision for all of us, parents, teachers, we who are studying the sector from afar, the ministry, Ghana Education Service, and even the students. There were mixed reactions when the idea was mooted that the schools need to reopen for especially the graduating students, something that we at IFES have been advocating for over the months, that we need to make sure that these students exit from the system so that we have a clear pathway for how we go about our education after the coronavirus, or when the pandemic is brought under control. So there were back and forth here and there, but finally we are happy that schools reopened yesterday. I think it was Saturday, Sunday that the students were supposed to report on campus. There seems to be a lot of energy from the part of the various school authorities, especially because most of them...
I've been a bit concerned because I realized that the government did very well, provided PPEs to the various schools, cautioned them about stepping up the preventive measures and all that. But it seems that everyone forgot about emotional PPEs, which is very essential in the whole of this pandemic. Students are going back to school. What kind of emotional PPEs have been dispatched to them? Both their teachers, their parents, and the students themselves. And I think that we have woefully done inadequately in that sense. People are anxious, parents are anxious, the students themselves are anxious. Teachers may be uncomfortable as well and may be entertaining their own anxieties, even though they may put up a brave face. And so I thought that there will be measures in place to educate these students, educate their teachers, tell them how to handle the anxieties that may come with students coming back to school and all that. Tell them that when students are anxious, where do they go to? Who do they see? Is there a counselor on site? Is there a mental health expert on site? I didn't seem to see that aspect being visibly affected into students going back to school in all of this. Our colleagues elsewhere have set a very good example that we should follow, albeit late.
And Dr. Ruth Osuentri is head of the psychiatry unit at the Comfort Noche Teaching Hospital. Now, moving on, the entire ESSZ community in the Mampugu-Maduri district of the Northeast region has been thrown into a state of mourning following the news this morning about the death of a 48-year-old man who died during a violent confrontation with his brother, 29-year-old. Now, the deceased, named Diaro, was said to have been hit with an object after he allegedly called Bashiru a thief following an argument at the drinking spot in the afternoon on Monday. We have on-stream correspondent Ilyasu Tanko with details. Ilyasu, thank you very much for joining us. Tell us about the deceased and where he is at the moment. Well, Ilyasu, I think you would have to unmute so we can hear you. If you can unmute your microphone, then we can hear you, Ilyasu. Okay. So if you can hear me now, tell us, this incident happened yesterday. Let's start from there, from the drinking spot. What exactly transpired there?
Well, we are getting this information from community sources. We are also getting the information from community leaders who intervened this morning in the incident. We are also speaking to the police who are all giving us this particular information. The details are still unfolding, but what we know currently is that the incident happened yesterday in the afternoon at a drinking spot, like you rightly said. We understand misunderstanding ensued. These are brothers. They all come from the same house, a big family house in the community, and very related. And so we understand misunderstanding ensued at the drinking spot. The details are not very clear, but our community sources who followed that actually was involved or was actually present when this confrontation started, told us that the disease was called a thief by the accused, and that provoked him, and so that caused the misunderstanding. In the course of the confrontation, we are told that the accused, so to speak, hit the disease with a stick. He fell down and was rushed to the UZC Community Health Center. Unfortunately, this morning at about 3 a.m., we are told he was pronounced dead.
So he didn't die on the spot. He died at the facility, after he was referred there. Do we know where the accused person is at the moment?
Well, following the announcement of the death of the disease, the entire community, the majority of them became angry. And according to our community sources, they stormed the house of these suspects or the accused. And it was in the process of trying to retaliate. We're told that he was tied to a tree and was beaten severally. Unfortunately, the chief in the community intervened and rescued him. As we speak, the police have been called in, and we are told that the accused or the suspect is currently in police custody in the district capital, Yagaba.
Hold it for me there. As you say that he is in police custody, we have been joined by the district commander of Wale Superintendent Simon Peter Akabati. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on News Desk. You have the suspect in your custody, we are told. Can you confirm that for us?
That's correct. That's correct. Thank you very much, sir. That's correct.
And you apprehended him this morning?
Exactly so.
We understand that he was, first of all, attacked by the community. Is that what you found when you visited his home. Can you tell us what happened when you went to his home and then to pick him up for the police station subsequently?
Well, thank you once again. Unfortunately, when the deceased was arrested last night, he was just to some beating. And the police went there and rescued him and sent to hospital, and he's undergoing a treatment. He's doing fine.
Okay. And so he is in your custody now. Have you charged him with anything? Have you started investigations? Bring us up to speed, sir.
It is too early to tell you the charge, but primary charges that to prepare against him will be murder. However, the case will be sent to the Attorney General's office to decide which proper charge should be given to the accused person.
And what happens to the bar where this happened? Has it been closed? Have you cordoned off the place to gather some evidence, and the home of the accused? Do we know if they live together, for instance, because we understand they are brothers?
Yes, for now the place has been cordoned up, and the police are on top of the investigations, and we are investigating seriously. And until due time, we shall give the detailed report.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. That's the District Commander for Wale Wale, Superintendent Simon Peter Akabati. If you're with me on the line, Ilyasu, tell us about the reaction of the community to this incident, and if you have some information on this suspect and the brother, the sort of relationship that existed between them before this unfortunate incident.